Put that in. Right, 7 o'clock. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for travelling out on a stormy, wet and windy evening for the Thornton Le Dale Parish Council meeting of 1st of October 2024. Quite a full agenda this evening with some really important subjects to go through. However, really the subjects we're just going to touch upon and then make some plans. That's how I sort of see it going. But the format of the evening, as usual, we'll do our questions and answer session give you the opportunity to ask any questions you may have. Then the Parish Council will meet as per the agenda, and if you've seen the copy of the agenda, you will notice that we have got a closed session after the open meeting, which we'll come to later on. Just a reminder of mobile phones to be switched to silent, please, together with other mobile devices. Conduct, I'm sure we'll all behave ourselves as normal, and I can see that we're being video recorded in the lines of openness and transparency. So, without further ado, I shall open up the floor to see if there's any questions for me or other members of the council. No questions? Yes.
I haven't got a question, but can I just remind everybody that the public toilets are closed next weekend. They were going to. They had a programme of work which they couldn't complete, and people were getting a bit fed up. So they stopped it, opened the toilets up for the summer, and they're now going to complete that piece of work, hopefully over the next weekend. And I believe there are arrangements in place with the book for them to use toilets.
I'm aware that local businesses have been approached just to highlight the position.
So I just wanted to make sure everybody knows and they can pass it on and circulate that.
Thank you, Jenna. Okay, right, so without further ado, I shall declare the meeting formally open and we'll move to the agenda. 2425157 is to receive apologies for absence given in advance of the meeting and to consider approval for reasons given. I have received apologies from Councillor Markham, who has made me aware of some personal welfare issues that prevents her from attending this evening. I don't propose to discuss them in public forum, but I can mention them to members later in the closed session. But as far as I'm concerned, they are very reasonable and a good reason for her absence. But other than Councillor Markham, we are all present. 158, to receive declarations of interest in any items on the agenda, and I'll open that up to the council for any such. No. Okay, thank you. 160 is to consider and note ongoing matters arising from previous parish councils. I've missed out the sign the minutes, haven't I?
Yeah.
Sorry, 159 to confirm and sign the minutes, firstly for the parish council meeting of the 3rd of September. Tuesday the 3rd of September. Here, have we all had a chance to consider the minutes, and are there any comments or requests for amendments? No, in which case I'm happy to sign. Print and date. 110. And then we'll move on to the minutes of the extraordinary meeting of the 13th of September. Are there any comments from members present with regards to the minutes of the extraordinary meeting of the 13th of September?
No.
Councillor Markham has emailed me that she wished to have it recorded that the minutes weren't correct and that she was actually present at this meeting. But when I look, Jenny, at the minutes of the 13th as to who's present, Councillor Markham is recorded as being present. So I think she might have just been a little bit mistaken. So we can reassure Councillor Markham that they are currently noted as being present, and if there are no other comments, then we can sign those off as a true, accurate record. Lovely, thank you. Right, 160. To consider and note ongoing matters, and the first is A, to receive and consider an update re the parish clock and the Hill Memorial Institute clock repair and service. Now, Rebecca, it hasn't gone unnoticed by a number of residents that the clock has started again, but has now slowed down again. So, do you have an update?
We've paid the 30% deposit.
Oh, right, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
You put 20 on that.
Oh, apologies, my mistake. Okay.
So we're just waiting to hear from Cumberland Clocks.
Did you say, Rebecca, you paid what?
30% deposit. And we're just waiting to hear from Cumberland Clocks whether or not people want it put in at 12 o'clock. I would ask John if he could
Quite happy to stop the clock.
stop the clock.
So,
Midday tomorrow, if that's
Yeah.
problem.
Well, it won't be midday
Have we got a date yet?
Why not?
because it won't be
Is it running slow?
very.
Right.
So
In that
that
case, it'll probably have to be
Half.
Thursday because I have to be in Harrogate for 3 o'clock tomorrow.
It's running about 40 minutes slow at the moment.
Well, if possible, I'll do it tomorrow. If
Right.
not, if I can get in the church,
Right.
is Sally okay?
Yeah. On the,
But I'll send you a text tomorrow
right.
morning.
Cool. Brilliant.
have they, Cumberland Clocks given an idea of when it's likely to be
Well, they were
looked at?
hoping to get it done before the clock's changed.
Hmm,
So fingers crossed. That's at the
Okay.
end of this month.
okay. And the reason why it's ticking is because Cumberland Clocks came and had a look at it when it wasn't ticking and managed to get it going.
Yeah.
But the engineer did say that it was going to slow down.
Yeah.
We've paid the deposit, which is a requirement to instigate the works. So the works are going to be timetabled in. As yet, we haven't got a date and time. I think it is causing annoyance to residents, John, so if we can turn it off, I think that would be beneficial.
Can we chase them?
Yeah. And we got a quote for the service for the Hill Institute as well, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
So
And I think we've approved that at the last meeting,
Yeah.
didn't we?
Yeah.
And they're going to do that at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
in summary then, things are ticking along
Ticking
quite
along.
nicely.
Mm.
Thank
A
you.
bit slow.
But a little bit slow. And then if John gets his hands on the key tomorrow, it will come grinding to a halt,
Yeah.
which is a positive. Right, thank you. Any other comment at all? Happy with that?
John, if you want me to come along, I'll come along and hold on. It's a bit dodgy. You'll just let me know because it's a bit.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's maybe as well to have somebody else there
Yeah,
just in case anything
Yeah, exactly. So
untoward
give me a shout.
happens, but I'm sure it won't.
160B, to receive and consider updates from the Parish Plan Group. June, over to you.
At the last meeting, the chair had specifically asked if the parish council could consider 5 points that he put forward around how the parish plan group works. Just a bit of background, we started off with 9 members, we've now only got 4, but we think we might have another 3. So it's been a bit, the group's been a bit sort of not very well attended, but you know, that's the way it is. So the 5 points are, because we do have a set of terms of reference, and that formed the discussion of the last meeting, and that gave rise to these 5 points. The first one, that the chair's view is that the PPG has got the authority to use a £1,000 budget as it sees fit, and does not need authorisation from the parish council. So that's the first point. So the £1,000 can be spent on parish plan activity as the group sees fit. Does anybody have a problem with that?
No.
Okay.
There's conditions with the grant
Yeah.
approval, and it has to be spent within the conditions of the grant
Yeah.
approval. But
It's- Can I just make a point
Yeah, of
here?
course you can,
And it
yeah.
has to be spent within, I think, the end of September,
End of
or it has to be
September.
paid back, which is now at the end of its limit. So
Yeah.
you might have to ask for an extension, and there are limits on that grant, how it is spent.
Okay.
Is
yeah.
that this September, Jan?
Yes,
Yeah.
the one that's just gone.
Have you got the bill from Village Hall?
I don't know because Mark's dealt with that, I'm not sure.
I can't see them be a problem as long as you let them know why
Right,
that you need the extension.
yeah.
And it's agreed, and the terms of condition are altered accordingly. So,
Well, I'll feed that back to Mark. Okay, because he's the chair. The second point was the PPG, Parish Plan Group, can make decisions and does not need any approval from the Parish Council. Now, I've taken advice from Jenny around the budget responsibilities, and whilst they don't need approval to spend the money, they do need to comply with sort of our financial regs, etc. So I've had that conversation with the chair. So does anybody have a problem with that? Because he's asking for advice from the council. So the PPG can make decisions and does not need approval from the parish council. Seems fair enough because they're leading the project. No problem. Good. Good. The PPG remains a resident-led, not a parish council-led group. Fair enough, that's what it is. No problem with that one. The link to the parish council will report regularly on the group's activities and share any feedback, which is what I'm doing now. Okay. And the group is run with high-level notes or minutes and is not subject to the same strict requirements of the parish council. The notes or minutes of the meeting, actually Jenny, I can send you this if you like. The notes or minutes of the meeting are, however, open and can be shared. So if anybody wants to see them, they can see them. So I think the discussion was more around, it's a residents group, there are some terms of reference. The chair would like it to work in a particular way, and if you've no problem with those points, subject to the grant approval and your point, Chair, about you've got to meet the grant requirements, I'll feed that back. So the £1,000 budget so far, we've spent £46, I think, on flyers. Small flyers that are going to be delivered this weekend. Phil and I are sorting out the delivery, and I'd just like on record to thank Joy from the hub because she did sort the routes out for us and helped us with the numbers, so that was really helpful. What else? The flyers will be delivered this weekend, and then the consultation starts on the 17th, I think so. 17th, isn't it? Thursday, and the 19th. Okay.
So have you only spent £46?
Plus the meeting room hire.
Yeah.
I don't know how Mark's dealt with that, so he needs to feed that information in. I think what you were saying, Jenny, was perhaps the village hall should invoice the council direct rather than go through. So I don't know how you want to manage that.
The point is that the invoice is parish council.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You've
as long as-
got that budget, haven't you? Even though it's their budget to spend. You know, and I did say the parish council has to monitor the budget to make sure it's public money, etc. So your advice was very helpful, and I've fed that back to them. Okay. And the only final thing is, I'm giving up the link role, and Phil, you've agreed to pick it up.
I have.
Great.
Yep. Thank you very much, June. Smashing. So, all I was going to add to that is if there are anybody in residents that are interested in joining the parish plan group, then please get in touch with either myself or June or the parish plan group direct. Lovely. Thanks very much, June. 160C to consider planning for the village upkeep and maintenance, i.e. the caretaker, and the first here is an update with regards to the Beck fencing concerns along Beck Isle, including a change going forward. The wooden handrail parks have instigated repairs for that. Parish Council have made a financial donation, but going forward means is that parks would be looking towards the Parish Council to pick up any further repair costs, but I would see that's something that we would deal with at the time. But the work hasn't yet commenced, and updates at all from them?
The contractor that's doing the work is doing a big job for the parks at the moment. That's due to be finished anytime soon, and then they're moving on to this job.
Okay.
No dates, but...
Okay, splendid. So, can't give an update in terms of timetable, but hopefully soon. I do know the Christmas lights brigade discussed this at their last committee meeting because they've had to consider some contingencies around that area, prominent location, which they do install lights. But there's been no problems highlighted, and I think there'll be a workaround. Splendid. 2 is the cemetery, moles and hedges. What's the mole situation like up there, Rebecca? You're our resident mole expert.
It wasn't good.
No.
Should we get the mole catcher back?
Well, she'd been and she'd put it out loads of...
Right.
When's that? That was about 6 weeks ago.
No, it was only 2 weeks ago I was up there. There was loads of flags.
Is flags good?
All flags is where she's
Put
put
them in.
traps out.
Set the trap.
So somebody must be...
David, you're a land management expert. What do we know about moles? Is it more traps or?
Well, she's an expert, she should be setting the traps
Yeah, in the right
in the
places.
right places. How many she's caught, I don't know.
Is there a cost implication for?
Well, it's £60 a visit.
A visit.
Yeah. As in 2 visits to
Yeah.
inspect it and then come back. So.
Now, whether they'll continue to be active into winter time is another thing altogether, really. I think Mark's concerned that he's damaging machinery on the molehills. Well, that'll be his last cut, won't it?
Yeah.
So,
There'll probably be another one.
yeah, I would suggest we just monitor it and just see for now.
So keep moles on the agenda. Hedges.
Mark and I said we'd have a go at the internal hedges because it's too wet for a tractor.
Right.
And the hedge along the roadside by the allotments as well, which is untidy and wants doing. So I think I saw him this lunchtime and he's quite happy for us to do it by hand with obviously petrol equipment, but
Sure.
yeah, we'll do those.
Okay.
What about the rest? Do we need to get that booked in? Or is it just...
I think we ought to wait for the roadside one on the cemetery side. It's the allotments one which is a bit tidy, a bit untidy. I think
And the best time...
Tony will do those probably February.
Yeah, and when it's dry.
Yeah, it's dry and then, yeah.
Okay, so leave hedges on as well then.
Yes,
Leave hedges on. Salt bins, that's me. So I've had some correspondence with NYC Highways with regard to salt bins. So previously, Parish Council resolved not to adopt 5 salt bins that were going to be taken out of the village due to duplication of location and the cost of maintaining and replenishing. But the parish council do own a number of grit bins in the village anyway, and those are at Roxbury Road, near street light number 5 and the junction of Castle Garth, Archways, which a resident highlighted a couple of meetings back, Whitby Gate outside the doctor's surgery, and Heron Close on Malton Gate. So the parish council already own and maintain those. The aim of the NYC is to change those grit bins for yellow ones, denoting that they're locally owned, and the NYC ones I think are green, aren't they? If I remember rightly. We've gone through the process about moving the one from Heron Close up to the green. That's all been approved by them and we can see no problem with that happening because the one on the green is going to be removed together with 4 others, and that is South Lane, one outside the Grange and one opposite Ivy House, Roxbury Terrace, junction with Roxbury Road, Malton Gate and Westgate outside the granary. So those 4 are going to be removed. And then the one at Malton Gate, Village Green, will be replaced by our one at Heron. It's all very technical, but it is all in hand. When that is likely to occur, they can't say. Probably when the bins and the grit has been used and the bins are empty, which would make sense. But I will maintain communication with them just to make sure that the right bins disappear, not our ones. For the future, if any of the parish council grit bins are damaged, they can be replaced with a new yellow bin by NYC at a cost of £50 per VAT, and that's a subsidised cost. But what they're going to do with our old green ones, I don't know, probably relocate them somewhere else. So that's grit bins. Any questions at all? I mean, it is all in hand, and it's just another open-ended sort of action. Probably needs to stay on the agenda so that we can just monitor it. Because I know, John, you said previously that you were going to manage the grit bins.
We do have an offer from a gentleman to move things about.
Yeah.
If we need to take salt, which we've already paid for, from the bins that are going to be taken away, then he has offered to do that. The problem is where to store such thing and to lift it. I'm sure we can lay our hands on some builder's bags, as it were, but it's just somewhere to store it until we get the new yellow bins to. Because I have a sneaky feeling that the NYC will come and take away the existing bins, bring us some nice shiny new yellow ones, and charge us for filling them.
Yeah. Which is what we want to avoid.
Can I just say, I got involved because Jenny copied me into some correspondence, and I sent it on to Andrew, and he assured me that the bins wouldn't be taken away till they were empty.
Till they were empty. Right, that's good. Okay, that's good. Right, thank you. Okay, 160D, to receive and consider Parish Council insurance policy cover, renewal and update. So, came out of the internal audit review that our insurance cover just needed to be updated. It is intrinsically linked with item 160E, so perhaps talk about this as well, to receive and consider updates and actions to the asset register and the risk assessment as above. So, in simple terms, Parish Council needs to renew the insurance cover. David, you did a little bit of work on that, and you had some early conversations with NFU. Do you want to summarise those?
Yeah, basically we went to the NFU and asked if they were prepared to insure us, and they thought long and hard and decided they couldn't because it wasn't within their remit. So Jenny's then been in touch with Zurich, and I'll have to say Jenny's done all the work. I've just been feeding little bits. And another company which specialises in parish council insurance. So if you'd just like to.
Well, we've only had one quote back which came in today. That was from Zurich.
Right.
That looks quite good. It's very comprehensive. And it does take into account all the new assets that we've included in the asset register. All the new valuations. So I suppose we just need to wait for the Gallagher's to come back, which is our existing insurers, and the other quote as well, just so we've got some context.
On the face of it, it offers better, better policy than the Gallagher one. And also there's a 3-year deal which you can fix at just less than £1,000.
It's slightly less than what we're paying at the moment,
Okay.
so we can
Which are 3
secure
years.
that price for 3 years.
And the cover is what is attractive to what we need, is it?
The cover's better than the Gallagher
Minimum,
one.
at
Right.
least,
Yeah.
at least what we've got now. But
Yeah, a bit more. 12 million public liability instead of 10. 10's sufficient, but they've offered 12.
12.
I think that's their standard one.
Probably need it for this parish council.
Yeah.
And does that include the clocks?
It includes the clocks, the memorial,
lights,
yeah,
street lights.
yeah, street lights as well, which weren't covered in the other one.
The other thing I thought was, I have actually looked long and hard looking for the old asset list, and can't find anything. The church floor, who's responsible for that?
I don't know.
You'll never do.
We're all there.
That's a good point.
Councillor Garber, what's the answer?
Which one?
All Saints.
Yeah, I'm sorry, which?
Church Lane.
The Church Lane bit.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly, the last time it was repaired, it was done by NYC Highways.
Right.
But I couldn't guarantee that because it was a while ago.
That's what a lady told me in the church the other day when I was there, that she thought that when NYC had repaired it, paid for it to be repaired, because they're all now questioning the other side on the footpath because there's some damage there and we're going to get on to NYC, but it's a bit of a worry.
What, the church now, Rebecca?
Well, I was speaking to somebody at the church.
Yeah, what, the church, surely they've an idea whether it's their wall or not their wall.
Well, it's a closed churchyard, that's the issue.
Might know. Might be worth a contact.
I'll pick that up for you if you like.
So I was just going to suggest, as it's been raised, we need to see clarification. So if we add that to the agenda, Jenny, perhaps under the village upkeep and maintenance heading, if you're happy to do that, Janet, that would be useful.
From what I remember, and it was when I was first elected in 2011, North Yorkshire Council were asked to close the road so that the church could repair the wall before it was taken over by the then Parish Council. So I would very much doubt North Yorkshire repaired it if they were going to ask for the church to close the road and pay the licence. So I think there's some ambiguity there, but I'll pick that up because I'll be able to look into it probably a bit easier than Jenny.
I mean, I recognise that it is a closed churchyard and therefore the responsibility for maintenance and upkeep falls with the parish council, but the parish council are not the landowner, are they?
No.
And landowning includes boundaries, doesn't it? I would presume.
Yeah, it does.
But we need clarification.
Because we also need clarification on the footpath that they put in. That is a mess.
That's in the church.
That's in the church, and I think the diocese are responsible for that.
Okay. Well, we're heading towards a subheading now of churchyard, aren't we?
Can I ask a
We've
question
got-
about insurance before you move on?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if you can answer it yet, Dave, but some insurance policies cover employment liability insurance as well. Does this Zurich one?
10 million.
It includes that as well?
10 million, yeah. Public liability 12 million and 10 million for
It's
employer's liability. Yeah.
What's
There's fidelity.
Can't
There's
hear
all
you, Jenny,
sorts
sorry.
Fidelity insurance is on there
as well, yeah. Dishonesty insurance.
Oh, yeah,
there's
yeah,
all
so it's
that.
very comprehensive. That's
Yeah,
slander,
it's probably one of the most comprehensive ones I've seen,
libel.
actually. Yeah.
excellent.
Thank you, June. That's got a valid point.
Yeah.
And it's been a real headache because the asset register has not quite been right, has it? And again, the asset register for the parish council was highlighted in the internal audit. I think there were some questions around the values and such like, and I know you've done some work on that. And thank you for circulating a copy of the asset register. There's two headings that I just really wanted to mention: asset value and insured value. Now, the asset value must be the price paid, and that's in relation to governance and accountability publication. And then the insured value can be significantly different, and this can be a replacement value, but only for info, not for the AGAR. Are you able to, I know it's a question out of the blue, and are you able to summarise? Is that something that all parish councils do? Is it?
I think the pound
Best
ones
practice.
are historical.
Yeah.
They go back a long, long way. Any
Well,
additions to those, i.e. the street lights, which are an obvious recent addition in the last 8-10 years, whatever it is, will be put in at value, and therefore the asset value of 40,000 and the insured value is correct.
93,000.
No, we're talking about the street lights.
Oh, street lights. Yeah.
So the difference of 50,000 between the asset value and the insured value. If we come down to the Pantile storage shed in the cemetery,
Yeah.
I mean that's that's down as asset value of £1,
Yeah.
but it's got an insured value of £20,000. And I think this is the difference between a lot. That's perfectly acceptable in accounting to have historical ones at a nominal value, which would be £1. And if we pick up on another one here, the Hill Institute clock, again in a £1, but got an insured value of £5,000. Commemorative clock on the church in at £1, historical value, insured value £10,000. So that's the sort of difference between.
So in terms of insurance liability and appropriate insurance cover, they're looking at the insured value.
Yes.
And not the asset.
Not the asset value.
Because we had a lot of values at £1 previously,
Yeah.
didn't we?
Well, yeah.
And I don't quite understand why.
What you don't do is if you put any depreciate, like the laptop for example, you would have to put it in, the insured value would be the purchase price.
Right,
And
gotcha.
that wouldn't change
Yeah.
throughout the life of the laptop.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, that explains that. Thank you. So I think we're on course then.
So Rebecca, did you?
Yeah, go on.
Does the Hill Institute insure the clock?
No.
No, right,
Pays for the electricity,
right.
and that's it. It's-
But we got it now.
Yeah, but we didn't have it in before.
No, well, there's a lot of things that
Yeah.
weren't in before.
Yeah.
That's why we're picking up on them really, particularly the street lights.
And part of the quote for some of the insurances, we've had to send photographs,
Yeah.
explain exactly how, where it was situated, what it's attached to, and so on.
So any new additions to if we bought something for 10 grand, it would have to go on the asset value as 10 grand and insured value of 10 grand.
Gotcha.
So any new additions must be put in at the correct rate, i.e. the laptop on there at 450 quid. It's got an
Yeah.
insured value.
Okay, yeah, I did notice that. That was going to be next question, so thank you. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so thank you for getting the asset register up to date. The insurance, I guess, is going to have to stay on the agenda until we then come to, as a council, decide on which one to go with.
We've got time.
Yeah, we've got time till the 29th of November.
End of November.
Yeah.
That's going to be
So we've got
perfect.
2 more quotes to get in, haven't we, Jenny?
Yeah.
The other people.
And just the last point on these 2 agenda items is the risk assessment. Now, presumably, the risk assessment is part of the asset register and the insurance liability cover, I would presume, kind of intrinsically linked, or is there a requirement for separate individual risk assessments for these assets?
I thought there's a plan for separate ones. Don't know.
It's just on the agenda, that was all. Risk
The
assessment.
risk assessment it also applies to the financial risk that we carry, as
Right.
opposed to the
okay.
asset risk.
Gotcha.
So, things like signatories to a bank account is a financial risk.
So is that.
Yeah, I've got that. haven't I? So dynamic risk assessments in everyday, day-to-day business at the council,
Yeah,
which I think we are
and
focused on, aren't we?
we are covered with that
Yeah.
through the internal audit, so that eliminates a certain amount of risk.
Yeah.
It probably needs a review because it was adopted on the 24th of the 10th, 23.
Mhm.
So it really wants a review. There are 1 or 2 things in here that I don't think are appropriate to us anymore. And there's various other ones that I've pulled together which I'll share with Jenny.
Yeah. Should we just sort of keep on agenda then and bring it up to date for next time?
Let's do that. Brilliant. Anything? Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, so do you think there's 2 different, as John said, 2 different types of risk assessments? So do we need 2 separate documents? One for, if we do need one for financial risk, and then one for risk assessment of the assets?
I think I would be inclined to keep all risk assessments in one place.
Yeah.
Because we can grade them low, medium and high, can't we? And those financial risks that attract a high risk, nowhere to find it in the document.
Well, in the document it specifically says under assets, an annual review of assets is undertaken for insurance provision, and that's
Which we're
in the
doing.
risk assessment which we're doing now.
Yeah.
So I think the 2 are linked. So I don't think there's a point in doing two separate ones.
Good idea, Jenny. Let's keep risk assessment on the agenda. We'll review it, and we can review it at the same time that we reviewed the asset register and the insurance policy, just in case you thought you weren't busy enough. Brilliant. Any other comment, Tom? No. Okay, 160F, to receive and consider budget forecasts 2025-2026. I think the first initial comment with regards to the budget forecast is when we look back to this time last year, we were also preempting budget forecasting, because is it November, isn't it? Has to be done by
December. It's going to be
December. It's got to be submitted by December. So again, this year we are ahead of the game by having it on the agenda. In comparison, I think we're in a better financial position, and the picture financially wise looks extremely healthy, if not without its challenges. But the budget forecasting and budget setting for 25-26, last year we delegated to the Finance Committee. I think when we consider that we've got new contracts in place, I think we've got 4 contracts in place, new insurance, a new asset register. Members of the public have challenged our AGAR submission for this year, so there'll be a financial implication around that. We've got an outstanding employment tribunal, which could have significant financial implications. And generally, we just need to do a bit of finance planning. Unless there's any other comments, I'm going to propose that we delegate this to the Finance Committee.
It'll come back to full council.
Yeah.
It'll come back to full council, yeah. Right, so just need a seconder for that then.
I'll second it.
June, thank you.
Yeah.
All those in favour of delegating the budget forecast to the Finance Committee? Thank you, that's all approved. And what that means is you'll have to post, who's chair of the Finance? David, you'll have to post an agenda. Whether you have an open meeting or a closed meeting, you'd have to decide, unless you're discussing confidential contracts or whatever. I would suggest it's a public meeting. And then bring it back to us November PCN.
November, yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely, thank you. 160G.
So
Yeah,
along
well,
with the, as long as the reserves policy as well, we'll have to do a reserves policy for our earmarked reserves around that time.
yeah, that's part of the budget, isn't it?
Yes,
The earmarked
that's what I'm saying,
reserves.
yeah. So that will go through the finance
Yeah, please.
committee when we
Yeah,
have
that would
our-
make
when we
sense.
have our meeting. So
Yeah, that would make sense, because you're going to have to budget for those earmarked reserves, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you want to review it and put it right and then bring that back, which is what I think you did last year as well. Yeah, brilliant. 160G, to receive and consider an update on the almshouses. Claire, this is you.
There's not a lot to report. There's still lots of architects involved, and there's going to now be some consultation with the national parks. Obviously, it's a listed building.
Yeah.
Lots of problems with the roofing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's taking a lot of sorting out, but we can't say too much because the residents have to be kept up to date, and they haven't as yet. So I can't really say too much what's going on.
And the link role that you perform is working well?
I love it.
Oh,
It's
you
such
do.
a lovely committee.
Right, okay. Well,
I love that role. Yeah.
please.
They've taken them out for a day trip out to Flamborough. So yeah. Oh, did you go? And and the knit and chatter or whatever you do, you go as well, don't you? So.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Wendy
Yeah.
goes as well.
Does
Wendy
she?
goes.
She loves it.
Yeah, we had a great day. We went to
the hall, didn't we?
the hall on Friday,
Yeah, we were there.
and we went to oh gosh, where did we go? We went to Flamborough for fish and chips, but
Salby.
Rick.
Yeah, they like to go to Sulby, don't they?
Oh, Sulby, yeah.
Sulby.
Yeah, no, it was
And
lovely.
there's just more meetings. They're about monthly now, whereas they're usually about 3 monthly. But there's another meeting this month and another meeting in November. So I might have more to say when
Okay,
we
yeah.
decide to say things to residents.
Lovely, thank you very much. Please pass on our thoughts. If there's anything Parish Council can do to help, I'm sure we will be happy to discuss. 160H, to receive and consider an update from the Forest and Dale Community Flood Prevention Group. I expect you've got a few nervous residents looking at the weather conditions.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had a meeting since the last one. We're due to have one, I think, in the next, we're trying to arrange one in the next 8 to 10 days, so middle of October time. I have had a call from Jonathan Dickens, who's a highway manager for North Yorkshire Highways, and he wants to meet with tomorrow. We've got a significant runoff area of water, obviously, from the rainfall. So yeah, he wants me to have a look at that tomorrow. I'm going to meet him at 10 o'clock tomorrow and have a look, see what's happening there. I've been up to Snainton with Sue, who's a parish councillor from Everston, and Alan, who is a resident of Snainton. We've had a look at Cliff Lane, we've had a look at Nettledale Lane in Snainton. Spent 2 or 3 hours up there having a look at the possible causes, and we've identified the causes. It's a matter of going back to the flood group and saying, this is what we got 20,000 quid, what are we going to do with it? So yeah, there's a lot of work going on, but as for actual meetings, this will be another 9 to 10 days before we get one. Janet, I don't know if you've got anything else to, because you're involved in it obviously as well.
My only concern is that we've got £20,000 of shared prosperity funding, and we have to have spent it and actioned it by March. And it's difficult it's a pilot project, so it's not so much about what we do in this area as about what we can do as a pilot that other areas within the county can share. And that's the thing, is we're under a lot of pressure now to apportion that £20,000. I'm sure we can do it, but it's a bit hard at the moment.
Yeah, it is, but I think we need to see some action and actually do some digger work to actually show the people what the issues are and how they can be resolved.
Getting there.
And I think we will get there. So.
Well, speaking as chair of the Thornton Le Dale Parish Council, and knowing that the Forest and Dale Partnership is a fledgling initiative, isn't it? I would suggest that they want to sparkle and get things done. Set precedents, maybe.
And the other thing we have to get done is, remember, there's a second arm of this partnership, which is about the parish council, rural parish council support, and we are really ready for a meeting for one of those. Remember, we put it off because of the tribunal. Now that that's not going ahead, or with a time frame on that, we really need to meet to actually sort some issues out around that. So that's the next job.
Keep it on the agenda, or
definitely. Yeah.
Thank you. 160I, to receive an update on the employment tribunal. Right, this is me. So you may recall from the last parish council meeting, I reported that the employment tribunal, the case being brought against this parish council by the previous local clerk, was due to be heard at the Leeds Tribunal Court on the 6th of September. That happened. So the case is now before judicial review. The judge on that occasion made various directions, and various plans and discussions were had by all representative bodies. Now, because the case is an ongoing legal case, it prevents the parish council from talking about it. So everything I've just said is super secret. But I'm mentioning it because you may have read minutes from the extraordinary meeting of this parish council that we held on the 13th of September, and that was to disclose information received under legal privilege to the parish council, and the solicitors acting on behalf of the parish council were seeking instructions. You won't know any of that from the minutes, because the minutes reflect confidentiality and rules around sub judice, and that will continue. So, employment tribunal is ongoing. It will remain a regular agenda item, but sub judice rules does not allow us to say anything about it. 160J, to receive an update from PKF re the parish council accounts, the AGAR return of 23-24. I think I can probably summarise, Jenny. The AGAR was submitted, the public right to inspect was exercised by a small number of residents who inspected all the financial details and upon conclusion submitted a challenge to our accounts to PKF Littlejohn, who are the external auditors. PKF Littlejohn have acknowledged the objection. They've issued a certificate to say that the AGAR forms can't be signed off. That certificate's been published on our website and it's on the notice board out the front. And a review will be conducted in due course by PKF Littlejohn. There is financial implications on this parish council, unfortunately, but that's the way that it goes, and we are just currently waiting an update from them. In a nutshell. Okay. 161, planning applications. So we've got 3, no we haven't, we've got 4 planning applications, and I'll start with 0640, which is Heron Cottage on Malton Gate. It's the one down the bottom, opposite the footbridge. The new owners have submitted an application to demolish an extension and rebuild, new doors and windows, roof lights. There has been some previous consultation with external agencies, and because there's a public right of way, the public right of way people have asked that the footpath is kept open whilst repairs are made to the boundary wall. That's that in a nutshell. Any comments from members at all? No? Okay, nothing from the council for that one, Jenny. 0605 is the Hall Stables, famous of course for the Antique Centre up on Chestnut Avenue. Listed building, all the ironwork, guttering and downpipes need replacing, and they've applied for planning to do so. Any comments around that at all?
Is there a timescale on that? Would we know?
We wouldn't know.
Okay.
No. I mean, they might have contractors on standby or waiting for the approval. They might just get on with it,
So
and then.
It's not within our knowledge.
No, but I know you're thinking of Christmas lights,
I'm
aren't you?
thinking Christmas lights,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll just have to work with
We've
them.
got a new reindeer and a new sleigh to put
Yeah.
for there.
So nothing on that one. 0609 High Dolby House. Demolition of a shed and a stable, and application to build a new garage and workshop. Area of outstanding national beauty. Fantastic location, but not listed status, which I found unusual. But no
It's
comments.
still in parks though, isn't it?
It's in
It's
Dolby
in-
Forest, yeah, as
It's
well in the
parks,
park, yeah.
It's not listed.
0608 China Garth, Brook Lane, Thornton Le Dale, felling of 4 ash trees that are suffering with ash dieback in the wooded area. No comments? Right.
No.
Thank you. And then all the others, well, you've seen the updates there. 162 is to receive and consider matters raised by the parish clerk and the RFO. The first is A, to receive current bank balances. Are these right as per your notes? Yeah, so Virgin Money 22983.12 as of August.
Well, yeah, there's obviously September on there. So
And then
I
September-
tend to leave the previous month.
Oh, do you? Right, my mistake, yeah. 34497.24. And Barclays, Community 10360.17. And Barclays Premium 52669.59, attracting an interest rate of 1.51%. So that's bank balances. B, to note and consider bank mandate status and any actions required. I look forward to an agenda where we don't have
Yeah, bank mandate.
bank mandate written on it.
It's an absolute nightmare.
Thank you, let's move on. 162 C.
That's not changed.
No change from last time.
Last Friday, I rang up Virgin and I said, how are we getting on with the bank mandate? I was told it was all ready to go, blah, blah, blah. Never heard of a bank mandate. So I think I understood, I thought, right, it was 20 to 5 and I thought, Guy wants to be going home on a Friday night, so he dismissed it. Rang up yesterday, I spoke to a very nice guy, he said, yes, okay, it's all in order, I need to go back to Emmanuel Terry just to action it. I said, well, you said that last time. He said, well, I'll get back to you. Has he got back to me? No, he hasn't got back to me. So, yeah, that's the current status. I'm waiting for him to get back to me. But from told we had no mandate, we have a mandate ready to be actioned, but nobody seems to have actioned it.
Well, we look forward, David, the Parish Council meeting where you asked that to be removed from the agenda.
Complete nightmare. Yeah.
162C, to consider payments received and for approval. So, circulated previously. Payments received under a C for credit. Jenny, thank you so much. Grass cutting grant. You liaised with NYC, and whilst I guess there were some forms to be filled in, Parish Council have been granted £886.07 towards the contractual grass cutting of the parish.
That's visual displays, isn't it?
Visual displays,
Yeah.
yeah, which is grass cutting,
It's
isn't it?
usually paid in June, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it all went to the wrong address, the email address.
Oh, it all went to the wrong email address, but we got it. Right, thank you. A real big credit here. Memorial £60, and then NYC is the second half of the precept has landed, which is 23,887.50 pence, which is good news. And that will take us up to April, and will be handy for your budgeting meeting with the Finance Committee. So that's payments received. Payments for approval, there are only the two. One falls under the description of clerk admin. It's a sum of £86.49, and it's for printer ink. So, propose that that payment is approved. Just need a seconder. And all in favour? That's everybody.
Sorry, Phil, that is for just two separate printers. It might seem expensive, but...
Yeah, no, that's fine. I understand that they're both being used for parish council business, which is good. Water bills, £54.28, and that's business stream.
It's like Yorkshire Water.
Yeah, and they're split, that's split over two separate accounts, isn't it?
Is that the two that...
It's allotments and cemetery.
Right.
Yeah,
Ah, allotments and cemetery.
so I'll make sure I split those.
When do we turn the water off?
Probably not until it gets frosty. Well, it's a bit longer yet. We can wait a bit longer, can't we?
Right.
And then we can drain the system down. I can drain the system down, and you can go the time. Yeah, no, we've got to wait a bit longer, I think.
Right.
Do you want to wait back to the agenda for
Yeah.
upkeep and maintenance? For
Can I
next?
just ask, where are you turning the water off?
Outside the allotments. Yeah.
There's
And then there's about, I think at the last count, 14 or 15
Chuck it
taps
under the cemetery, Jenny.
that all went draining down, otherwise they split and burst.
Yeah, we don't want that. If we just,
Just
I mean,
curious.
you raise, I mean, you are interrupting the flow of the
Sorry.
agenda, but we'll go back and deal with the water. We can get that on the next agenda, just so that we don't forget. I'm going to propose that we approve the payment of £54.28 for the water bills. Do you see the seconder?
Yeah.
John, all in favour?
Yeah.
That's everybody, right, thank you. Okay, under approval. D, to consider future payments in and received grass cutting grant, which we've spoken about, website, which we haven't, and water bills that I think we have. What's the website one, Jenny?
Yeah, but that under, it's still to be paid. It's on Scribe, and it's for £160. So this is sort of final upgrades to the website.
Ah, yeah.
So it was part of the contractual that we agreed with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it technically doesn't need to be approved because we've already approved it, but
Yeah.
it's just to acknowledge that that still needs to be paid. But
Yeah.
it's on Scribe now. Yeah. And that's the final payment to Advantage.
Okay,
The website, so all the upgrades, all the work
been done. And then presumably is there an ongoing payment or just an annual subscription?
It's in the budget for next year.
Right. Brilliant. Okay.
Pay for the domain.
We pay for like the emails,
Yeah.
the maintenance of the emails, the maintenance of the website. We've got about
Yeah.
£300 in there.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Right. Lovely. Thank you. E. To consider update and any further actions re a bad debtor. So this came about from a previous closed session of the Parish Council meeting, so I'll just highlight we cannot discuss or disclose any data around this subject. However, we did resolve to take some action which has been unsuccessful, and I think now we just need to consider what, if any, further action we need to do. So I think the further action that we spoke about in closed session was a letter. And unless there's any other comments, I'd just kind of suggest that we stick with that plan. Any thoughts?
So the letter will summarise what the intended action.
So I think the letter should summarise the services that the council are owed money for, just so that the bad debtor understands what the letter is about. It should clarify the amount and when it was initially due, and then if we summarised what action we've taken to date to try and recover that money, then I think that's only fair to them that they understand what the position is, and then I think it should conclude by small claims court or further legal action. See what happens.
There is more to this that we need to speak about.
Is there?
Mm.
Okay. Well, we can do that.
Can we do it here?
We can't do it now.
Can't do it now.
Can't do it now.
Closed meeting.
Yeah, confidentiality. So
Yeah.
we'll stick that on for a closed session next agenda, because we can't slip it into this one, and we'll talk about it further then.
Mhm.
Could it be a matter arising from the last agenda, because it was referred to in the last agenda for debt. Is that right, Jenny? Wasn't it referred to last minute, sorry?
Yeah.
So it's a matter arising in a closed meeting, does that make sense?
It does, but we can't speak about it now because we're not in closed session.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, we'll take that forward then. 162F, to consider and receive internal audit quote for 24-25. So again, we are ahead of the game. We are considering planning for an internal audit. Our internal auditor was Rachel Pearson. I presume it's Rachel Pearson that has been in contact and has provided a quote.
That's correct.
Which was previously circulated. Do we need to decide whether to go ahead with that and under what guise, I'm presuming, or are there any other questions around it? The first question I got is, when does the internal audit start?
She did talk about doing an interim one, didn't she? But
Well, we had...
I know she was doing one last year, but it was different last
So
year.
we had discussions around instructing Rachel Pearson to do an internal audit, and then I think it was John that suggested we had an interim because we didn't have a proper handle on what our financial picture was. I think we got a better...
That was the previous financial year.
Yeah, I think we've got a better handle on
Yeah.
it now, and we've certainly got a great RFO. I mean, I would suggest that we perhaps didn't need an interim, unless anybody disagrees.
Yeah, there were special circumstances last year.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think we still have a way to go in terms of making sure that our financial controls are sound and up to the required standards. I would lean towards asking the internal auditor to give us a once-over before the actual internal audit at the end of the financial year, so that if there are any things that we need to put in place, they can be put in place before the AGAR rather than in a magpie just before we fill in the AR form and have the internal audit.
Sensible idea.
Good idea, John.
Do you want to,
Sorry,
do
yeah,
you
go on.
want to talk about the difference in the prices? If we're looking to agree.
Can we do that in public session? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, go on then. Do you know what they are?
Well, yeah, it was all in the email.
Oh,
so,
right, yeah.
So the internal audit is just basically plus inflation
Yeah,
based on last year, so it's around about the 300 plus
yeah.
5%. If you want the interim, it's probably going to be nearer the £500. So it's basically £200 difference
Right. Okay.
financially.
Is that total, Jen? Is that 500 for interim and
It's,
final?
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's not on top of.
no.
Well, my feeling is that if it avoids or prevents a further challenge to the next year's AGAR, then it's 200 quid well spent.
That's a good idea.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think last year, although we asked for an interim, we didn't actually get it, did we?
No, because we didn't have access
No.
to anything.
Is that she only performed the internal audit
Yeah.
because the fees were 300 last
Right.
year.
And from an RFO point of view, review
I think it makes good sense.
makes good sense. Well, I'm happy to go with that. So, I propose then that we accept Rachel Pearson's quotation for her services doing the internal audit with the addition of an interim, is it a report or review or
Audit.
an interim audit?
Yeah.
You can tell I'm not finance savvy. Just need a seconder for that then. June, all in favour? Everybody, okay, lovely, thank you. 162G, to consider and receive option to a further reclaim of VAT. Jenny, what you got to tell us?
It's just whether or not you want to. I mean,
Yes.
normally- yes, no, that's fine. That does, yes. We need to vote on that.
Sorry, I just interrupted. Please go ahead.
Well, I think it was David's idea, to be fair.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I don't know if you remember mentioning it. Just being able to put another VAT claim in before the end of the financial year,
Okay.
considering the
Big one,
invoice,
haven't
the 10,000 invoice.
Ah, right.
we? Yeah.
So there's at least 2,000 due back to us.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's quite a significant invoice that we ended up paying, wasn't it?
And
John.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but we may also have a VAT on the legal charges that we've incurred.
Mm-hmm.
So that would need including, which would be another significant amount of money.
Mm.
And the VAT on the clock repairs.
Clock repairs, which would be a big bill.
Yeah.
So there's some quite big ones, so I think the more we claim early the better.
Should we sort of wait for another couple of months or look to do it in December?
If we can.
Wait, when's the legal bill coming, do we know? Is that going to not arrive until everything
know
gets
yet.
concluded?
Is there a limited number of times you can claim your VAT
I
back?
think it's about 4 times a year.
4 times a
Four
year.
times, yeah.
And how many times have we claimed already?
Well, we've only done one, but
Once.
that's for the whole of last financial year.
So we haven't seen any for this year.
No, not yet.
I think the PK one would be worth retrieving fairly sharpish. We paid it,
Yeah.
so we might as well have a VAT.
Yeah, you can do a reclaim every 3 months.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's quite usual, Jenny, to get the legal bill at the end of the process,
Okay.
rather than, even though it's kind of in 2 bits. So I think you're right. I think that'll probably be a future VAT claim.
Okay, so I'm just going to propose the idea that we reclaim for the big
PK.
PKF invoice.
And whatever else.
And
there is.
then presumably when the finance committee meets to discuss the budget, make a mental note about VAT reclaiming or
Yeah.
have a little subheading, and because there will be other things that we can claim for.
Yeah.
There's always a VAT one on the budget.
There is there?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, I
On
just
the
forgot.
VAT
I always
claim.
read the budget. I always read it. Okay, so propose then that we reclaim the VAT for the PKF. Just need a seconder for that. David, and all in favour?
Yeah.
And then I think the others is just processing it. Yeah. All right, Becca, you look like you wanted to say
I was
something.
going to say, I will get in touch with Cumbrian Clocks and see if we can get that done,
Yeah.
paid for, and claim that at the same time as.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
So,
We'll do it in November.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, lovely. Thank you. 163. To receive new correspondence received by the clerk and any action required. A is Thornton Le Dale website further changes.
We've sort of
As per your notes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have done us proud, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think the website and the changes that have been made really are quite stunning. I know the members of the public take great delight in surfing the net and looking at our website, and quite like the search facility, so that's good. Anything else to say about that? Or no? B, parish portal access. Having trouble with that, but
Be like the bank mandate.
yeah, it'd be nice to get this off the agenda as well.
I think it'll be off next month.
Next
Are they the
month.
same company, by the way?
Yeah.
I think that could be.
Because I see Virgin Money being taken over by Nationwide as from
Yeah.
today.
Mm.
They said there's going to be no difference.
Yeah, and they're taking over parish portals as well. Yeah. All right, thank you, Jenny. We'll leave that on. Allotments and cemetery, new release from Scribe. So that's a Scribe accountancy software.
Yeah, we need to look a little bit more into the allotments. On the cemetery, I have had a bit of a look.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not that, it's the assets. You know, they were bringing in a facility where you could go and take photographs, link it.
Mhm.
But it turns out it's separate to Scribe. It runs alongside Scribe, so I don't think it's a good idea. Because it just means you've already got your asset register in Scribe.
Yeah.
I thought you'd be able to take the photographs, attach it to what we've already got, but it's a completely separate.
Separate bolt on.
And although it's free at the moment, it won't be free.
Yeah.
So I think we should just, forget that one. But I think we should still review the allotments, because there's I think quite an in-depth map that we can do on there.
Right.
I think we should review the allotments and review the cemetery as well, don't we? And go through the records and make sure we're up to scratch. But it was discussed at the last meeting, isn't it? And in fact, it's D, cemetery, future planned audit, notice board contacts. So we'll keep them on, I think.
Okay.
Ongoing work stream, when we can find the time, we need to review.
I don't want to be doing it in winter, or a nice day did be alright.
Yeah. Okay. So keep those two on, please. The notice board contacts, we were going to print off contacts and put them in the board. Haven't done
Did I
that
send
yet.
it to you?
I don't think so.
I can't get everything straight.
Do you want me to do it?
And then I thought I'd sent it. I thought I'd sent it to you. I might not have done. I might have thought about sending it to you. But if you, send it to you, and then you send it back when you.
Okay.
And then I'll print them off and put them in.
Okay.
So we'll put that down to computer user error and we'll try and get that done. E, Remembrance Parade planning, no update. I have submitted all the paperwork. I've made contact with Martin Calvert. He's aware that Parish Council are fully on board with the planning. Hopefully whip up the road with a resident to collect some signs, but otherwise we're all systems go for Remembrance Parade.
Does that need to stay on here or?
Yeah, keep it on. Well, when's our November meeting? Yeah, it'll be before the 10th, won't it?
Yeah.
Have we ordered a wreath?
Yes, I've ordered a wreath, and I'm going to
Pay for it
come.
this time.
I did promise to pay for it. Took us a year to pay for the last one. Don't ask any questions. I'm going to come a couple of nights beforehand and stick some no parking cones out as well. So that's all in hand. And perhaps have a little sweep around and tidy up out front. F, to receive an update on the Restoring Nature Conference, Pickering and Rydale Environment Group by Councillor Goodson Moore. June.
Actually, it was very good. John came on with me, my husband. There was a cost, but we funded that ourselves, so we're not making a claim for cost for the
Okay,
council.
thank you.
But it was really interesting, and the speaker was really interesting. I think the things that really stood out were that we have a duty as a council around biodiversity and need to produce a plan by 2025. So that's something that needs to go on our agenda. It's not a parish plan issue, it's a parish council responsibility. So there is a difference. So that's something to look at.
June, is it a plan or a policy?
It's a plan, I think. Well, actually, Jenny, it says a duty. It said we have a duty to produce a plan. So maybe look at it in more detail. North Yorkshire Moors National Park people came to speak about why nature is in trouble and how councils can help. I mean, I think what I took from this is there's loads of work going on and it's a really big project and councils are only small and we can do so much, but the expectation is we're going to do, there's a lot to do. So I think there are people out there that can help. There's somebody called Reg, not a person, it's a group, Rydell Environment Group. They're funded till next year and they have to come and talk to the council and explain what our duties and responsibilities are and what help we might need. There was a lot around Castle Howard Estate, did a couple of really interesting sessions around restoring nature, regenerative farming, tree nursery expansion, that kind of stuff. So that was really interesting. And they run free seminars. I thought David might like to go to those because they're really into trees. There's quite a few seminars they run that, you know, if you're interested, you can go off for free. But the other biggie was the managing the road verges for wildlife. And two parish councils, Kirby Moorside and Pickering Town Council, gave examples of verge management. You know, we all would like our verges to be kind of pristine and cut down. And what they're saying, the trend to restore wildlife is to actually do a swathe cut. So you cut so much and then you leave the rest, but you leave it to grow naturally and you help it to grow naturally. And it's quite a complicated process, apparently. So Kirby Moorside and Pickering have been doing this for 1.5 years. They've hit loads of problems, but they're happy to come and help councils understand that in terms of how it might affect your grass cutting contracts, you know, how often you cut the sways and you don't cut the other bits. So that was really interesting. I thought it was. And what else? And there's a lot around composting, volunteering, wildflower seeding and protecting dark skies. So I've got a load of information here, if anybody would like to read it. But some of it is actually quite interesting, so I can make it available. I will look into that biodiversity. And if it is something we need to do, I'd be quite interested in that. It's something that I personally got a bit of an interest in. There was one guy there, but I didn't get his name, and I don't think you got his name. The guy who from Parish Council has produced a biodiversity plan. It was a plan.
From Pickering?
No, it wasn't Pickering, it was the guy sat behind, sorry. Anyway, the guy, so I've contacted Reg, the group, to say, if there are some samples around, we don't want to have a look and see what it entails, so we can look at how we build it into our work plan. So I suppose the decision we have to make at some future point is, if we've got a duty, a duty, around climate strategy and biodiversity, then how we're going to do it, and do we need a plan strategy? It was very good.
Thank you. Any other comments at all? Do we need a restoring nature section under our village upkeep and maintenance agenda item? If we're going to think about taking any of those things forward?
I think, do you know what, I think it'd be interesting to learn from a couple of the councils that have done it well in the way of doing it and got help to do it, and see what impact it has for us before that would be my view. I think we need a bit more information, because it looks really good. It's out, but Pickering and Kirby Moorside have been doing this for 18 months. You know, so it's not a quick fix thing. You need to understand the concept, you need to communicate with the public. People need to understand that the grass cuts are not going to be, you know, sort of half an inch short, there'll be some swathes in the long grass. Because the public can be very pro or can be very against.
Sure.
So
Terry, got a comment?
Are there
or a
any
question?
additional grants to help you achieve that?
Money.
They did say there are grants available, yeah. I mean, Castle Howard Estate said there are grants that they know you can access, and this Reg group, Rydell Environment Group, they said there are grants available too. And I've got a list in my information here about some of the grant areas, but yeah, there are grants.
Okay, are you happy to hold on to that for now, and then if you feel that there's anything that you want to do, we'll bring it back and we can consider it then, can't
Can I
we?
just ask something? Is that open to the public as well? Is it just council too?
I don't know, do you remember, Janet? Because it came via the Parish Council, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it's open to the public.
Yeah. And there may be council people that were there and environmentalists, but I don't see why you couldn't, because you just have to pay £15 and you couldn't.
It might be worth getting sort of a group together, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice if there were people in the village that were really into
Yeah.
biodiversity and restoring nature.
Yeah, because we used to do, when we first started the hub around the pond and that, we did a lot, because we were going to introduce voles and things. We were
Yeah.
going to, the parks
Yeah.
were going to introduce voles back in and things like
Yeah.
that. So that might be, you know.
No, that's a good idea. Because they were talking about, I can't remember what the name was of the particular kind of newt, that somebody reintroduced a newt.
Great
That's the
Preston.
one.
Great Preston,
Thank you.
yeah.
And got funding to do that. So there is
Yeah.
funding available to do things. So
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Would you be interested, Denise?
Yeah, because I did quite a lot before with the hub about it. So I did work with National Parks quite a lot before with it. So yeah, I would be actually.
I'll get some more information and kind
Lovely.
of put something around it.
Okay, and then bring it back if you
Yeah.
feel that we can pick it up in a
Yeah.
positive way. All right, lovely, thank you.
Yeah.
163G, all other correspondence, and that includes sanctuary housing, which has previously circulated correspondence to members. Sanctuary housing, I think we signposted and helped them with an advertisement for social housing in the village. If you haven't seen it, or if anybody watching the video, I don't know if the place has been filled, do you?
I think they've got a prospective tenant.
Oh, have they? Okay. Hopefully people will have seen it on
Yeah.
social media.
Sorry.
The Southern Area Parish Forum to be held on the 10th of October. That has been circulated. I'm personally busy on the 10th, but if any members are interested, I'm sure Jenny can furnish details. And then Citizens Advice got in contact, and that's all been circulated as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Any other comments at all from that correspondence? No? Okay, thank you.
Bill, before we go on to the next section, can we go back to banking? I'd just like to...
Oh, I did.
Which item?
Well, it really comes under bank balances or...
Yeah.
In particular.
Let's revisit 162A.
I thought there was another item further on.
To receive current bank balances.
Okay. As we agreed in the last meeting, we're transferring 20,000 out of our 23 precept into the community account with Barclays. I'm in the process of doing that. I'm limited to £5,000 a day. We've done 10 grand over the last 2 days. So Wednesday, Thursday, we should have the 20 in there. It leaves us with quite a lot in the community account, which is not attracting any interest at all. So my suggestion is that we transfer £20,000, probably Friday, from the community into the business premium. Otherwise, we're not getting any interest on a considerable amount of money in the current account.
We haven't got 20 grand in the community unless that's where the precept.
No, that's where the money's coming from. So at the moment, as we stand this afternoon, just looking at the account, we got 20,360.17 in there. In the next 2 days, we'll have 30,360.17 in there. Which gives us too much money, I think, in the community, which is not attracting interest.
Yep.
So what I'm suggesting is we transfer 20,000 from the community account into the business premium account, which will then give us a balance of 72,669.59.
But that includes the precept that we've just
Yes.
received either
Yeah.
today or yesterday.
What it does do is leave us with about 14 in the Virgin money. Now we're very aware with the mandate not being operated yet to our requirements that we're vulnerable in there. So I think the least money we have in there, the better at the moment. Because still 2 of the possible signatures are on there.
Gotcha. I'm going to go straight to the RFO.
At the last meeting,
We did.
in the minutes, we agreed to do this,
Yeah.
apart from the bit that David's just brought up.
Yeah.
So that does need sort of minute just to say that,
Okay.
because we agreed it would go into Barclays.
That's right.
But we just need to then obviously put it into the higher
Yeah.
interest account.
Yeah.
So that's the bit that just needs to sign
Yeah.
off.
Do you want to propose it in an all thing?
And the other question is, can we get more than 1.51%? Are there any more Barclays accounts? I'm not aware of any. No.
I don't think so, but I think you'd have to move to another bank.
Oh no.
What about Virgin Money?
David, Nationwide have a very good interest rate, don't they? Just saying.
Yeah, they do.
Premium ones.
Yeah.
Do you want to walk through the proposals then of what you're
Yeah, so
asking to do?
the proposal is that we
Because
transfer...
last meeting, we did agree all this in
Yeah.
principle, but I think we limited it to certain amounts.
We agreed in principle to transfer 20,000 of the precept, the 23,000 precept, into the community account.
So so that decision has been made.
That decision was made in the last minute.
Right.
I'm 10,000 through there.
Yeah.
I've got another 10,000 to do tomorrow, 5 tomorrow and 5 Thursday.
Nibbling it.
Yeah, because I can only nibble it in 5.
So then what would you like to do?
So what I'd like to do is transfer 20 from the community account, Barclays, into the business premium account, which will give us 72,000.
Seconder for that?
I'll second that.
All in favour?
Yeah.
For the reasons, that's everybody.
Would you like me to action that on Friday?
Pardon?
Would you like me to action that on
Yes,
Friday?
please, John. Yeah, when it's cleared, when the funds have been cleared, yes, please, if you could. Yeah.
So that's that, and then the next part, or is that it?
That's it.
That's it. Oh.
At the same time as I action that, would you like me to see if there are any options for a higher
Yes,
interest
please. Yeah.
account? That, I think I did look a while ago, and I think there are, but I think you have to commit to keeping it there for a fixed period of time. But it's something I'll research and come back with the next
Thank
meeting
you.
or at the finance meeting.
Yeah. So sorry to bring that in at a last minute, Phil, but you know.
Well, it's completely interrupted the flow.
That's what I thought.
Me said. Is that you've been waiting, haven't you? Okay, are you happy? Because I
I'm always
understand
happy, Phil.
the reasons, and we discussed it at length last time. But if you could please stick to the agenda, David, that would be really useful. So now I've got to try and work out where we actually were. And I think we were at 164 to receive matters raised by members for inclusion on future agendas and note outstanding matters for future agendas. I've tried to do it as we go along, bringing stuff back. But is there anything that any members would like to highlight for the agenda of the next parish council meeting? No?
We've put the cemetery, what I mentioned earlier.
The review of the cemetery and the review of the
something to do with the cemetery. A stonemason,
Yeah.
that's on, isn't it?
Oh, the bad debtor, yeah.
That's getting carried forward.
Yeah,
It's
right.
just the part of the action
Yeah.
outstanding, which we have to do in the post.
Okay, thank you. 165 is to confirm the dates of the future meetings. The next is the 5th of November, followed by the 3rd of December, followed by the 7th of June. Jan, sorry, yes, thank you for that, Jan. Yeah, they're trying to get it. I think next year, my objective next year is go bi-monthly. That if we can get to that position.
Or once a year.
I think it's a good objective, but it might not be achievable.
Thank you, June. Thank you for the support. 166 is to resolve to exclude members of the press and the public due to the nature of the business to be transacted at the agenda item below being prejudicial to the public interest. Basically, we need to talk about the employment tribunal. So I'm going to propose that we should close the meeting and exclude members of the public. Just need a second there.
Second it.
All in favour? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming along. And I'm sorry it's a horrible evening weather-wise, but at least we've managed to cheer you up.
Absolutely.